Hi everybody, Wilder Ireland here. Just a little follow-up to the last video. I'll put a link to that below. It's really long, but I'm trying to, do a detailed initial video. So if you don't want to watch, if it's too long, I have a shorter version on my Instagram, or maybe just watch the first couple of minutes and around the last 15 minutes, you'll have some idea. Anyway, moving on. First of all, regarding the emails, I haven't heard back from Malcolm Noonan's office, nothing from him. And he's responsible again for one of the, under his remit is National Parks and Wildlife Service, and they issue the permit, if you like, to the Department of Agriculture to kill the badgers. So anyway, haven't heard from him. Now, I did get a letter from the private sec for the Minister for Agriculture, sorry. An email, a long email, kind of what I expected, referring to a lot of scientific reports. Most of them are quite old, but regardless. Anyway, I'll just read. I'm not going to go into this in detail. I don't have a printer at the moment, or a laptop for that matter, so you can just send me donations. So I have to work off this extremely long email. I'm not going to go into it. But one line that caught my attention was, the scientific evidence for the efficacy of badger culling is well established. Is it, though? Again, they're cherry picking the data, to justify their position, which is quite common, There's plenty of scientific reports that say it's not, so, But that's, as I said, a vicious circle. He said, she said, goes on forever. Now, there was another bit here. Yeah. They're saying last year saw a marked increase in badger vaccinations as compared to 2019. Increasing by 116%, resulting in over 3,000 badgers being vaccinated. Which kind of sounds good at face value. But it doesn't tell you how many have been culled. And that's my suspicion, that they're mainly culling still. But it leaves that out. So, and 3,000, they're culling loads of badgers, okay? Like here's an example. This is old info, okay? But in 2014, there was an advert for these contractors, the guys who go out and kill the badgers, okay? And it was for... They were hoping to cull, I think, 12,000 badgers over 2 years. And there was 2 million set aside for that, by the way, taxpayers' money. Now, that's just to pay the contractors. That's not for the whole program. The whole program costs a fortune. You've got vets involved, and anyway. Yeah, so, but the most important omission in this big, long email, I don't know if you can see, you probably can't really see that, but on and 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 on, and then all the references and on, is they never answered my question about the main topic. These bloody things. These wire snares. Right? Department of Agriculture says they're DOA. I don't know if that's in shop, but anyway. Didn't even mention it. Interesting. So that's a copy and paste job. I don't blame for copy and pasting because, I've worked in the civil service. You get a lot of queries in. They probably don't get that many queries though going by. I'll get to this later. But anyway, so that's the story there. I'm not even going to bother responding to it because it's just a waste of time. They'll just, argue their position and, quote all these studies. I could quote a million studies too. So, So that's the response from Department of Agriculture. Some other interesting news recently. Wales, the First Minister in Wales, has decided that they're not going to cull anymore. I think they've only been culling quite limited anyway, but and his reason is, he says the farmers are to blame, which is what I've suspected. And he said basically lacks biosecurity. So we're talking about slurry. A lot of people think it's the cattle slurry that's spreading the TB from cattle to cattle, and also importing cattle. And I think that we are one of the places that they don't want to import cattle from. I definitely saw something about Scotland saying not to import from Ireland. You know, the IFA will probably blame the Badgers, but anyway, I don't know about that now. That's conjecture but it definitely, they're not culling anymore because lacks biosecurity by farmers, and they're importing cattle, you know, without really checking that, you know, if they're TB free or whatever. So there, Scotland doesn't cull at all. So we're an outlier, okay, first of all, when it comes to culling. And the UK stopped culling completely. They've got back into it in the last few years. It's still on a limited basis. They're not culling the whole of England. And the reason people suspect it's like here, it's the NFU, which is the National Farmers Union, or the national whatever. It's their version of the IFA. The IFA is the Irish Farmers Association. They reckon that Conservatives got in and they're putting pressure on them. And it's the same thing. They cherry pick their data. You know, if you're doing science properly, for those who don't know, you'll have a hypothesis, and then you have to carry out an experiment to, you know, check it, okay? And the scientific method, it's called, okay? But what these guys are doing is they've come to their conclusion, and then they're just picking studies that will, you know, back them up, basically, justify culling. And that's what's going on here in Ireland as well, okay? But as I said, there's a lot of opposition in the UK, and people are much more aware and much more organised. Another thing in the UK, there's loads of these, but Gatcombe's study is a study that they set up where they used a farm to try a different way of dealing with bovine TB. And it has been considered successful. And again, it goes back to the farmers a bit. What they've done is they've better testing, okay? And here we go, slurry. They're controlling the slurry and biosecurity, okay? Another thing is that the test that they use here for TB is the skin reactor test where they inject it. They give them a couple of injections at two sites. I think one is avian TB and the other is bovine TB. I'm not 100% sure on that now. I kind of forget. And then they just get a calipers and check the skin. They will use calipers in humans as well, by the way. But anyway, but it's not an accurate test compared to interferon gamma tests, which what they use in whales. So better testing is a big thing. They'll only use that here kind of as a secondary test. So that's just some interesting developments. You know, we're an outlier to be culling like this, okay? And I really don't believe, I can't prove it, that our Department of Agriculture is really doing much vaccinating. So, hi folks, camera overheating again. I don't know why, it wasn't even on very long. Must be my enigmatic personality, I guess. Anyway, yeah, so about vaccinating, they still, as this is my main, in the short term, this is the main issue. They vaccinate and they're still using these instead of cages, which they use in the UK. So the animal is snared up in this thing. They're meant to come around the next morning and either vaccinate or shoot them. But seemingly, you know, I don't think it's policed very well. But, you know, in this day and age, like imagine if this was your dog. You know, and I know some people seem to be pet lovers and not so much animal lovers, but I don't see any difference. And if you look at my videos of badgers or look wherever online, I mean, they're very like dogs, especially the pups. The cubs, I mean, are very like pups. You know, so just, you know, look into your dog's eyes and just imagine them out at the minimum all night fighting this, and they're strong animals. And this is cutting into them. And this thing, as I mentioned here in the last video, when I went outside, not in the original, this has a swivel in it. So they put this because this animal is so powerful, it's going to be thrashing around, turning over, rolling over itself. And this is their little joke of, so they can say they're taking some, you know, welfare measures. Like, give me a break. Please, 2021. And only country using this. In the UK, they use cages. Baited cage, the animal goes in. Okay, they're still going to be a bit stressed psychologically, but it's nothing like this. And then they vaccinate them in the morning. I mean, this has to stop. Come on, guys. Anyway. Sorry to those who, if I'm preaching to the converted, but for those that aren't converted, I don't know. So regarding my little, I don't know if campaign is too great a word. I've had a lot of views on my video, more than I expected. Now, admittedly, I've been promoting it as much as I can through, Facebook and whatever. But I think it's around 560, 570 views, which isn't bad for something this specific and non-mainstream. Or maybe I'm just tooting my own horn. I don't know. Now, I fully realise most people won't have watched that whole video, and I wish you would try, but I can understand people don't have the time and, people don't have the attention spans they used to have. But I know you come in from a long day at work, you don't want to be watching me for an hour going on. But even if they watch the first 5 minutes, they're going to see this thing. So hopefully they'll get some idea. As I said, if you haven't watched it, try and watch the whole thing. But if you watch the first 5 minutes and the last 15 minutes, you'll miss a lot of stuff, but you'll get the idea. Yeah, but the bad news is, the stats are something like, what YouTube do is they give you the top 2 countries, or 2 countries that are viewing. And it varies a little from day to day, but it's something like 60% are UK. They're the top viewership. And wait till you hear this. The second is Ireland. It's like 8% or something. And I really appreciate the help from the UK, because they can spread the word and they can send the emails. And even though they don't have a vote, if they phone that I've given, the tourism minister, she's Green Party as well. I didn't come up with that idea because someone responded and said that they holiday in Ireland from the UK and said that, if this is how we treat our wildlife, she's not going to bother. So that's a way they can contact the Malcolm Noonan, Minister for Agriculture, but I've also put the email addresses for Catherine Martin, who is the Minister for Tourism, and for the Tourist Board, Tourist Promotion Agency. But it's very disappointing, I think. Now, the other thing is the what do you call it? Camera keeps cutting out. I don't know what's going on. Technical issues. I must be too enigmatic for it or something. But another issue is the age range. I seem to be only reaching middle-aged people. So that's an issue. Tried Instagram, but I'm just not down with, because I really think the younger people would probably be the best bet with this. Pat Kenny let me down, by the way. Shocking, isn't it? Yeah, I sent an email in for those who haven't seen the other video, just asking him to highlight it, because he's so into badgers when it comes to stopping building next door. He is anyway. But and I wasn't trying to get on the show myself or anything. It wasn't a showboating job. I just wanted him to highlight it in some way. But anyway, nothing happened there. And also, it's bad enough when the media, the mainstream media, I hate to sound like Trump, won't cover this issue in a meaningful way, as far as I can make out. I forgot to put the light on, but sure, who cares? It might cool the camera down. But I went on to one of the larger Irish wildlife groups on Facebook. It's called Ireland's Wild Birds and Animals Group. And I asked them, if I could put the video up. I asked ahead of time because they tend to delete a lot of stuff. And one of the guys got back to me, and he just said that they don't do, petitions, which kind of proves he didn't really even read it. And I said, it's not a petition. And anyway, look, I didn't really argue with him much, but I did try and, challenge him. And anyway, the next day I discovered I'd been kicked out of the group. Shocking. But I'm not the least bit concerned about being kicked out of the group. But I mean, if the mainstream media won't cover this, and wildlife groups, because it's too controversial, you know, won't cover it, I mean, what hope is there? You know? And they'll say, oh, look, you know, we're just for pictures of animals and videos of animals. But like, where are you supposed to post it? You know? And I want to give a big thanks to another group called Irish Wildlife and Nature Photographers. Now, unfortunately, they're a much smaller group, but they were fine with it. And as I said, in the UK, nearly everyone is sharing it. And some of these groups are like, no way really related to badgers. And, you know, it's just pathetic, really. You know, that they won't help this guy out, this one solo operator here trying to do his bit. But anyway, so that could be it as well. It could be just that, you know, the message isn't getting out. It mightn't be, you know, that we're just that bad here in Ireland. You know, and I appreciate the UK has a much bigger, larger population, but it's a big difference from, you know, 60% to whatever it was, 8% or something. 60% UK, 8% in Ireland. Watch the video. Yeah, look, I'm going to leave it there before this camera cuts out again. But if you could please try and help. Please, look, sending those emails only takes, you know, you don't have to send a long email. And that's not, you know, I don't really think that emails are going to change it, but they're going to help. But we really need to get the word out there, and it doesn't look like people are really going to help. But anyway, I mean, the media and even the Facebook groups, pathetic. Anyway, can we please stop this and just think about your dog? You know, if you don't appreciate badgers, I'll put another little badger video after this one I got recently, a colour one. And all the taxpayers' money that's been spent on this. And the science doesn't back it up. And finally, even if you want to proceed and you're convinced that badgers are the issue, it should be 100% vaccination and cages, not these things. This is disgraceful in 2021. And the government, by the way, are claiming, you know, they're going to go to full vaccination, if you look on their website. But they've been saying that for years. It's the usual, you know, they park it in some scientific working group or whatever. They don't need a working group, scientific groups. The evidence is all out there. And you don't need evidence. I mean, these are wire snares they're using. Okay, sorry if I'm a bit angry. But maybe somebody needs to get a bit angry, you know, because this being nice doesn't seem to work anyway, that's for sure. You just get ignored. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.